Oh yeah, there we are. Okay, let me start the recording. And let's see if we can get a little music going here. Some waiting music. We're almost ready here. Oh, we're waiting for YouTube, waiting for YouTube, waiting for YouTube. There we go. Okay, let's do this. Can you hear that, Matt?
I hear it.
So you wanna be
So you want to be
a
a
cool
cool kid
kid, hanging with the
hanging
inset,
with the inset. That's us.
looking real,
Looking real. We'll take pictures after. Cool and fine.
casting your
Casting your net.
So you wanna
So you want to be. Here we go. The drum roll. Bop, 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 bop. Thank
lonely
you
girl.
very much to Serge Hoffman, my friend in Paris, who is the one who's singing and he created the music. Those are my lyrics for So You Want to Be. I'm Bonnie D. Happy to be here with, oh, just a really, really, really interesting dude. We have Matt C. with us. Cost, C-O-S-T, you know, like what you pay for something in the store, C-O-S-T. It's really easy. Matt C., welcome. How are you?
I'm pretty fantastic. I'm looking forward to the show, and it's good to see you again.
Thank you. You're very, very cool because you've been on so many. I think you've been on my creativity show. You've been on my Technology Revolution, The Future of Now show, talking about sci-fi and music and culture and publishing and books and authors and creativity and innovation. I'm running out of topics for you. And you've done my HB to you, happy birthday to you with the celebrity and the all the announcements we do about music history. So it was long overdue, Matt C., that you come on this show. So are you ready for me to do the grand introduction here? You all set?
Absolutely. It's time for saucy dames and cool
Uh,
dudes.
Oh, you're my new branding rep here. I appreciate that. Okay, here we go. Okay, we dish two saucy dame and cool dude flair with Bonnie D and Matt C. We're live streaming on the air. You may know us well, one or both of we two, seasoned in life, and we just love what we do. From social channels, virtual embrace. You got to hug yourself now, Matt. Hug yourself. Quick hug. There we go. We're sharing insights in this special people space. Today on We Dish, we're here to play, lightening up life in our uniquely fresh way. Now I'll share the life of this very cool dude. When I'm done rhyming, he just might add more with attitude. So here we go. From Rhode Island's shore to Maine's tall pines, Matt chased adventure through youthful lines. At 8, he learned what work could mean: wood stove heat and a toilet to clean. A ball in his hand, Matt was ready to play football and baseball. They both shaped his day, but English and history fired up his mind, the spark of the stories he would one day find. Matt swung his brush for the paper crew, a job that built both grit and view. Those muscles of will, those lessons of sweat, fueled the secret writer Matt hadn't met yet. Matt went to Trinity, Hartford halls, majoring in history's echoing calls, then back to Maine to family ties, where literature and life would synchronize. Matt opened 3 shops in Brunswick town, mysteries, movies, and fitness, all renowned. A bookstore of crimes, a video spree, a gym for the body, his mind running free. Divorced, remarried, 4 kids in the fold, new chapters written, all brave and bold. When teaching called, Matt answered with pride. Matt, pick up the phone, sharing lessons the time couldn't hide. A decade of school bells, laughter, and chalk, then freedom at last to allow his stories to talk. In 2020, he dusted off his draft from 91, and then Matt's I Am Cuba was suddenly done. Awards soon followed, featherlings' praise for history he told in such vivid ways. Then mainly power made his readers adore the main humanities pick they couldn't ignore. 18 books strong with more. I'm not even done yet. 18 books strong with more on the way. Silver Falchion Award finals brighten his day. Mind Traps, Matt's RONE contender of fame, each novel expanding his storytelling game. From Chamberlain's courage to Castro's fight, Matt paints the past in clear, living light. Yet he also loves the sleuths of coastal Maine, where danger and humor entwine in refrain. And for the future, Matt predicts the Big Five's empire will fall, while indie authors' voices will answer the call. Digital shelves will replace hard copy stacks, but our passion for stories will never relax. Now in Brunswick, Maine, with Harper and pups at his side, beaming at his four grown kids with fatherly pride. History and mystery keenly dance through his pen. Matt Cost's a cool dude over and over and over again. What do you think?
Wow, that's amazing. You make me sound good. I'm very excited.
Well, you sent me your bio. Listen, there's a reason I don't call it a bio anymore. I call it an origin story. I want to know where you came from, what you did, what your life was like early, what the jobs were along the way, who the people you met, how your career unfolded, what influenced you, and it all just gets folded. I'm glad you liked it. So I'm going to finish it now. We're here on We Dish, chatting on life score, culture, music, food, maybe food, and oh, so much more. I didn't have breakfast yet. Join us live or on demand, day or night. That's why they invented on demand. I'm not going to be here tonight. Well, I'll be in the other room. Enjoy our dishing with shared delight. Meet us for real here in our live streaming glow. Matt, you're glowing. Come on, show us glow, glow, glow. Glow. There. Oh my God, it's getting dangerous. Comments are welcome. Just play nice. We know who you are, you know. We dish two Saucy Dame and Cool Dude two, Bonnie D and Matt C, dishing on life's fun pour vu. So overall, you happy? Good?
Yeah, everything's wonderful. Got a couple publishers, writing books a lot, and living
Good.
life in Maine. So,
Is there anything else you want to add to with attitude to my opening? Anything I left out? Anything you want to emphasize more, maybe?
geez, I can't think so. I think you covered all the bases of my life and embellished it better than I could. So, hey, I sound pretty good.
I should call the show We Dish, This Is Your Life. Maybe I'll have to try that one. Okay, let's go to opening with music. What's your favorite music, Matt? Tell me some songs, music that has been I'm going to just say something really corny, the soundtrack of your life. Music that means something to you, just music you like. I don't care what era, what attitude it had. I don't care who sang it, who played it. Give me some songs. What do they mean to you? Go.
I'm going to have to start off with one of the ones that made the biggest impact in my life was actually Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Back in 1982, which coincided with a summer of me working out to get ready for football so that I could become a starter on the Madison High School football team as a junior. So I would work out every day with the weights and running, and I had that on the cassette player, and I just played it nonstop on a loop.
Wow, Eye of the Tiger. Okay, important question. Did you wear out the tape?
I think I eventually did.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it went too much, past that summer when I listened to it every day.
I had some CDs I was listening to in my car. I don't think it was cassettes years ago, and they just warped. I'm sorry. I played them so much. They were unplayable after a while, which was very interesting. Give me some more songs. Eye of the Tiger. I love that one. Give me some more.
You jump ahead a little bit to I'm a Believer by Smash Mouth, originally by the Monkees, written by
Yes.
Neil
I'm a
Diamond.
believer. I'm a believer. Yeah. Okay. So what
But
did Smash Mouth do with it?
Smash Mouth does a very similar, just kind of a little peppier, a little crazier. But that was my wedding song in 2003.
Really?
So you got to imagine, 120 people in my backyard dressed in Hawaiian outfits. And when we said, I do, everybody threw water balloons at us. And then the band struck up Smash Mouth, I'm a Believer. And we went dancing down the aisle into the backyard and into the tent. So,
That is probably one of the most creative weddings I've heard about in a long, long, long time. Not rice, water balloons.
water balloons.
And did the balloons open up and everybody got wet, or did they stay intact? I have to ask that.
About half of them did, but some of them were too small. So they just sort of hurt. So it was poorly planned.
I wasn't expecting that. I thought maybe somebody came with one of the kids, the little boy or little girl, hit him with a pin. Everybody did. Oh, it's raining in my backyard.
No,
Oh
no,
my
they
God.
actually were throwing them at us. They had been instructed to do so, and not all of them were breaking. So the impact was sometimes a little hard.
Oh dear, that's one of the funniest song stories I've heard in a long time. Okay, yeah, this is we're dishing on our lives, telling the truth here. Give me some more songs. This is interesting. Go ahead.
I've never really been able to remember lyrics of songs very
Mhm.
well. It's just something that doesn't, sometimes I struggle with happy birthday when everybody sings it, but I
Oh,
mumble a little bit and, get through it. But I did memorize the entire song back in high school of Jukebox Hero by Foreigner.
I'm a
And
Foreigner fan, but I don't know that one. Now you have to give me the lyrics. What were they?
standing in the rain with his head hung low, couldn't get a ticket, was a sold out show. Heard the roar of the crowd and he could picture the scene, put his ear to the wall, and then like a distant scream. And, goes on. And so basically, he's an outsider wanting to be an insider and make it big and make it famous and do something with his life. And so over the course of the song, he does. So he started rocking. Ain't never gonna stop. Gotta keep on a rocking. Someday he's gonna make it to the top.
Wow. And here
And
you are, a cool dude. This is the top man. I'm teasing. You've got so many awards. By the way, I just want to go back a little bit for a second to the what was it, the Flanchian Award and the Featherton Award. I'm just guessing.
yeah,
I'm not looking at my notes. What are
there's
they?
the Feathering Award. It was a historical award out of California, and
Hmm.
it's not a major award, but it's Featherling Cops, and it was my first, and it was very much appreciated. I've been a finalist for the Falchion Award and for Indie Magazine Mystery Awards, and the only other thing that I was really selected for was Mainly Power was
Wait a
selected as
second. Let your fans
okay.
applaud here. Let your fans applaud here. Okay. All right, good. It's over. All right. Yes, they wanted to let you know they appreciate you and they're very impressed. Very impressed. Okay. I love my sound effects. Anyway, that's really, really cool. Do you go seeking these awards? I'm asking out of complete naivete, or because I'm a poet and a playwright and I'm working still on my first novel. But does one like you go seeking them? Do you apply for awards or do they find you? How do,
There's a variety of ways that it happens. You can apply for the award. You can just be selected for the award.
hmm.
It could be like Indie Tale magazine was, my books was one of the highest rated for the entire year, so it became
Wow.
a finalist and then went on to win. So
Wow.
I do have problems with awards sometimes because they can be a popularity contest.
Yes.
So there
Yes.
are awards that are
Yes.
associated with conferences, and basically everybody attending the conference gets to vote. And,
Okay.
ideally it would be for the best book, but, we're all human. We vote
Yep.
for our friends and for
We
people
know
we
how it
like and
goes.
people we know. And
Yep.
so, but that's just about any award, I think.
I
Even an award that supposedly has a panel of judges, if I'm in the running against Michael Connolly or James Patterson or Stephen King,
We
they're,
know.
they're going to give a little nod to them just
Yeah.
because they know that they're established. So,
Right.
it can be a strange thing.
And not only that they're established, but the judges would be already familiar with their style, with the cadence of what they write, with the popularity, with the fan base, with what people already like about what they've already done. So there's a mindset, people say that AI is using all of the knowledge that we're pouring into these large language models and all of this machine learning, but people do that too. We have our, I'm not going to use the word biases, but we do. We
Right?
know stuff, right? We know stuff. Very, very interesting. I'll just share with you that on my creativity show, you've been on that show. I think I'm on my Monday night show, Read My Lips. I have mostly new authors, mostly self-published and seeking publicity. And we talk about not their books, but about who they are, where they come from, and what inspired them and their muses. And a couple times a year, somebody will say to me, "Would you please post a review for our book?" And I have to politely decline because I said, how could I pick yours over 150 other books of the 150 guests who've been on the show, three a week, 50 weeks a year? And first of all, I don't have time to read the whole book and do it justice. Second of all, how could I pick a favorite if all of these people come to me and they share their lives and their muses and their passions with me about who they are, but I'm going to spend more time reading one book rather than another and pick them out. So one woman was very disappointed in me. She was really, really, really disappointed. And she said, well, that's too
It,
bad.
it,
Go
it
ahead.
can be very difficult. I'm actually was
Yeah.
asked to be a judge for the first time
Yes.
of a short story competition locally at
Mm-hmm.
the Topsom Public Library. And I was the sole judge. So I had to choose who the top two choices were out of, there were about 40 entrances of
What?
short stories. And, I was a little reticent at first, and the librarian said, partially it's just what you like.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I can do that. I
Makes
don't
sense.
want to, have to pretend that there's a literary merit or this or
Yeah.
that. And I did take all that into account. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, when separating the top from the middle ones, it was just, okay, I really enjoyed this.
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. Yes. And I used to go out to the movies. Now I stream everything, but I would read movie reviews. And after a while, after years, I said, who are these reviewers? They're professionals, many of the people I'm reading. They know movies. They know the business. They know how a plot gets put together. They are referencing in their minds the greats who have preceded the current movies. They're judging on a level with knowledge and preferences and prejudices that do not inform who I am and what I'm looking for. So I stopped. I stopped doing that. And the same thing with Yelp. A funny story to me, years ago when I was living on Long Island, my boyfriend and I were going to go out to dinner with two or three other couples, and there was a lovely restaurant up the street from me which had great parking. We were just going to walk, and everybody else needed a place to park. So I said, let's go to this restaurant. And one woman said, no, I read the Yelp review and somebody didn't like one of the waiters. I said, listen, I'm a real person. I know you. You know me. I've been there 4 times and the service was great. And I know the waiters and I know the food and the prices and they've got parking. And she said, well, I don't want to go there because they had a bad Yelp review. I said, "Oh." We went
No,
in.
it's just crazy. I mean, as a writer, I get reviews all the time, and
Yeah.
there are the haters out there, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
to and I also owned a video store. So to go back
Yes.
to your original thing,
Yes.
which
Go.
also goes with, you have to find a reviewer that you agree with.
Yeah.
And then when they review things, you say, okay, I trust this person because we have similar likes and dislikes.
Yes, yes. And I would say foibles, I'm not sure what word I'm looking for here. There's a current TV show I won't name. It's very popular, and I find it offensive on a cultural level because I'm part of a group it's talking about. And I find their treatment of certain people um, sarcastic but rude and implying things about that type of person that I don't think are true and I don't find welcoming. And I've talked to some other people who were with me in that group, I'll tell you later, and they say, oh, it's just TV. What's the difference? And I say, but it's influencing millions of people who are watching it. It's one of the top shows, and it's setting a precedent for this kind of person is a liar and a cheat, and they're rude and they're two-faced. And I don't think that's true. I think that's a stereotype or maybe even a trope that we need to not do. We not to perpetuate it or perpetrate it. And people are telling me, "Oh, it's just a TV show." But yeah, so we're talking about mindset, talking about I don't know reputations, talking about impressions and influences, inspirations. You want to help me out here, Matt? I'm going off a
You
deep
know,
end.
Reviewers and
Yeah,
judges and
yeah,
artists and writers are all just human beings.
yeah,
We all come with our own, prejudices and biases and beliefs and
exactly.
opinions, and it's hard to separate that out. And uh, you don't necessarily need to separate it out because that's what makes
Yeah,
it unique and
that's right.
is the flaws, perhaps.
Question, video store. What kind of videos did you carry? Were you under obligation to receive different genres from a supplier? Could you say, oh, I only want this type of music video and I only want this type of family movie? How did you pick and choose what was in your store? I've never asked this to anybody.
We had an independent video store that my brother and I started called Matt and Dave's Video Venture. But,
Cute.
but we hired some very big movie buffs to work for us and we made it very much a quirky, foreign, independent films to go with all the new releases, but we certainly, and we gave strange, category time signs to all the different genres instead of just calling it cult. I can't even remember what we called it now. It was 25 years ago. So, but we had different names for it. We had lots of games. I think was going to mention at some point today, probably that, the best advertising you can do is word of mouth.
Yes.
And to create word of mouth, you have to give a good price, a good product, good service.
Yes.
And so it's worth the money spent in doing those things. So,
Very
so
interesting.
yeah, we absolutely, each month we pick the movies that we were going to order for the month and
You picked. That's
whatever.
what I was looking for. You picked. You
Yep.
decided. So you had a reputation of being the type of video store that would have X, Y, and Z categories and the frequency of the videos and why they were popular with certain segments of your target population in your community. Very, very
And
interesting.
things
20,
that Blockbuster did not have,
there you go. So
you know.
independent, that was the key word, independent video store. I have never spoken to somebody like you who did that, and it just dawned on me. Find out. That's very, very interesting. By the way, we have to wave hello. We've got actually two people on Facebook who are watching us live. Hello, whoever you are. It's nice to see you. We hope you're enjoying the show. Very, very interesting. Give me a little more music, Matt. I'm very intrigued with your choices. Got a couple more for me, and then I'll give
Uh,
you mine.
yeah, I mean, nothing as impressionable as those first three, but I've always loved Joan Jett. I love rock and roll. There's just a beat to that
I love rock and roll. Da 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 da. Do I have a little bit there? Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And
And
as I said, I'm not very musical, so I'm not the person to ask if if you're getting it right. But
you want to know mine? You want to know mine?
yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, I realized a couple of years ago that Donna Summer, who left us way too soon, the disco queen, beautiful singer, beautiful lady, her discography describes parts of my life. And I put them together in a string. I actually could write a story about this, but she works hard for the money. Yes, I always have. Hot stuff. I've been called that, especially when I was teaching dancing and disco and Latin and ballroom and all that good stuff. I was never a streetwalker in LA, Matt. I want you to know that. But that's what it was. Hot stuff, baby. The sea. No, I was never one of those. On the radio, I still consider this radio. I started out in radio in 1998, I think, on WGBB AM 1240, the oldest AM station on Long Island. Real radio in a real studio with a real engineer. Well, yes, with an engineer on the other side of a glass, and he was putting in the carts, we called them, the little the intros and the outros, and I was doing reviews of local businesses, and that's when I started talking to authors. They would call me on the phone at the studio and we'd put them on the air. That was when I started doing author interviews. Another song is No More Tears. Enough is enough is enough. I can't da 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 da. That was Donna Summer's excuse me, duet with Barbara Streisand. I love that. And I've had my point in relationships and jobs where I've said, I'm out of here. Enough is enough.
That's usually Taylor Swift territory, isn't it?
This preceded before maybe she was born. Last dance, last dance, last chance for love. I hope I'm not murdering that too much. I try not to sing, but it just pops out. I was a dance instructor, as I mentioned, and I did some exhibition dancing with my partner Michael, and we did parties, and it was a lot of fun. And so last dance, now I dance in my kitchen, and I like the music of Megan Trainor. And I have Alexa put on Megan Trainor and I dance in my kitchen. And it's really fun. I do line dances and electric slide and all that. And funny story, when I go out to the store, I don't go out too much because I do so much broadcasting from my studio here, but I leave Megan Trainor on the loudest setting on my Alexa in the kitchen because the kitchen is next to the front door. So if anybody were to come to the house, they would they would hear music and think somebody was home. They either want to get in or they want to get in for the wrong reasons. But anyway, another one is I Feel Love, which was Giorgio Moroder, that beat. I Feel Love. Always sounded like she was on the back of a motorcycle. And I have felt love many times, and we'll leave the implications of that off because this is not an adult show. We lost one viewer on Facebook. You left before the juicy stuff. And then the last one in the list is Heaven Knows, which was from the MacArthur Park Suite Donna Summer hit #1 with the MacArthur Park Suite, which was recorded a few years before by Richard Harris. And he made it to #8. She made it to #1. And I believe it was 23 minutes long. And my dance partner, Michael, and I entered a Disco Hawaii contest at the Copa, which was a nightclub in Eugene, Oregon, if you can believe. I've been to the Copa in New York too for a on a prom date. Anyway, heaven knows, and we made our own costumes, and I hammered silk blue tops. I had a little spaghetti strap top. I was a little tiny thing in those days in a black satin skirt that spun out in a 360-degree circle. And he had a puffy shirt his mom made for him and black pants, and we came out on opposite sides. He lifted me up over his head. He was a tall string bean of a guy, but he could lift me. I was about 95. All right, 97 pounds. And he spun me around, Matt, and then he death dropped to the floor, 6 inches above the floor, skirts going out in a 360 circle, and then set me on my feet. I had the black stockings and the little high heels, and we did our dance routine. We thought it was an amateur Disco Hawaii contest. We didn't know that it was pro-am, and the woman who won, she and her husband owned their own dance studio. She was a pro. Anyway, so we came in third. So Heaven Knows is a favorite song. So that's my Donna Summer discography. But also, I'll throw in a couple more. Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Look at me now. You Don't Own Me, Leslie Gore. I made a music video with a band on Long Island of You Don't Own Me. I'll tell you later. I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. They had to overdub my voice with one of the girl singers in the band, but it's okay. I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar by Helen Reddy. Now this one, I think you're going to like this one. 1971 Anthem. Janis Joplin, me and Bobby McGee. And the line is freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Remember that? And
Yeah,
isn't that how we're living our lives now? Isn't that
that's
what
a
we're doing?
fantastic line, isn't it?
Isn't it? Absolutely. And the last one would be Respect by Aretha Franklin, I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor, New Attitude, God, a New Attitude, Patti LaBelle, one of my all-time favorites, and Pat Benatar, got to mention this, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. So there you go. Those are the songs of my life. So now let's get really, really serious here, Matt, and this is really important. I need to know, what is your creativity superpower? Can you identify it? Does it have a name? Do you talk to it? And what do you like about it? And what do you not like about it so much, Matt?
I would have to say that it's pretty straightforward. Me being a writer is my superpower is I just do it. I have an idea, and lots of people might have an idea, or they might think about writing, or they might, start writing something. But I have an idea. I obsess about it. I figure out how I'm going to get started, and then I sit down and I write. And that allows me to write and publish 3 books a year for the last 5 years, going on 6 years now. And but the flip side of that is I obsess about it. I can't get these fictional stories out of my head.
Yep.
So whether I'm walking the dog or driving the car or waking up in the middle of the night, I'm thinking, what happens next? This just happened. How would Langdon reply to this? Or how would Jazz Jones react to this situation?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's with me all the time. So that can be difficult.
That's the upside and the downside of creativity superpower. Mine, I don't know if there's a downside, but my creativity superpower is I get very interesting people like you to want to talk to me.
Yeah. You lure us in.
I lure you in, and you're my cool dude number 51, and it's been just barely a year since I started this show, the Cool Dude Show. So I get people to talk to me, and the downside is we just keep talking. So this isn't a non-scheduled show, so we could do an hour, we could go an hour and 20 minutes, we could go 45 minutes, whatever. So I guess there really is no downside, but I'm just intrigued by intriguing people, interesting people. Like what I said to you before, I've never spoken to somebody who owned an independent video store. I wanted to know, how do you decide what's there and what did you call it, and what kind of a culture did you want it to convey, and who were your audiences? And I find that fascinating. So my mind isn't thinking of the next line in the story. It's thinking of the next topic to talk with my guests about. There you go. So they're
Yeah,
similar.
no, I'm jealous of that for you too. I've wondered about news anchors that have a different guest on every morning, and it's like, that'd be pretty cool to talk to this person or that person. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very jealous of you in doing that. So that's pretty
Well,
fantastic.
thank you. I have five shows currently now. I have the Technology Revolution Future of Now. I have formerly Read My Lips now. It's called the Creativity Show, Read My Lips with AK Radio Red. I have the We Dish Two Saucy Dames, We Dish Saucy Dame and Cool Dude today. And I have the HB2U Happy Birthday to You Celebrity and Music History Shoutouts. That's five. And I do about 50 shows a year in a 12-month period for each. So I do about 250 shows a year. And on the Technology Revolution and the Creativity Show, I have three guests a week. So I'm talking to a lot of people. There you go. Really talking to a lot of. I have discovered that there was a man who thinks he's from New York who is in the seafood department at my local supermarket, and I said, "Do you need anything, lady?" And I said, "Where you from?" And he said, "I'm from New York." And I said, "Really, where you from in New York?" And he said, "I'm from upstate." I said, "Well, that's not really New York. I'm from Queens, New York, and that's the real New York. So stop pretending." And we became friends. Anytime he's in his 60s, he has a long gray hair, long ponytail, and he wears the net over his head because he's working with fresh food. And I said, "How are you?" He says, "How are you? What you doing?" I said, "Well," and I never talk like this, man, but when I go to the store and I see him, we have these little conversations. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. So let's get off of this. But talking about food, remember I said music, food, and more, and entertainment. We've talked about entertainment, we're talking about music, we're talking about food. What do you start your day with? Now, you already said in the middle of the night you wake up and you're thinking, how would this character answer this line or this plot twist from this other character? But when you actually do wake up, what starts your day? Is it a breakfast? Is it a snack? Is it a coffee or a tea? Or I'll tell you mine in a minute. But what is it that powers you to be so interesting and brilliant? There you go. At the start of most of your days. Matt, tell us.
Uh, I start my day with coffee. I have a 10-second commute from my bed, stopping at the coffee machine to pour a cup, and then moving over to my desk. And so it takes about 10, maybe 12 seconds. And then I'm working with a cup of coffee. And usually that leads to 2 cups of coffee, and I'm writing. And
Okay.
then I'll take
Okay.
a
Hold
jog.
on.
Okay.
Hold on. What kind of coffee are you brewing it? Is it in a pod? Is it in a drip? Is it caffeinated? Is it decaf? Now you got to give me, please write the script for the coffee. What is your coffee like? That's what we want to know. Now go ahead.
It is a drip maker. It's I do whole beans and I grind them the night before and pour them in and set the
Ooh.
timer. And I put a little of that International Delight Gourmet creamer in the bottom of my cup, fill it off with coffee, and off to my desk I go. So
There you go. You got this. And we had a whistle too. Okay, that was off to the desk you go. No, 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 wow, wow. Okay. And do you have a special mug you drink your coffee in or a special cup? Is this a whole routine that you do? It's a
no one special. I probably have 7 or 8 mugs that uh, you know, as it is now, the dishwasher takes 3 or 4 days to fill up with the kids all gone. So, I'm 3 or 4 mugs deep before we run the dishwasher and I get them back. So I need some choices. I need a plethora of mugs.
I used to collect mugs from with different sayings. I'd find them at garage sales, from advertising for certain products, or people made some mugs when I had my TV show in New York called Something to Talk About. A guest showed up with 4 mugs that had something to talk about on them. I still have those, and I collected. And one day I went in my garage in one of the cabinets. I said, "Holy crap! I got 35 different mugs in here. Who needs 35?" And they were staying in the cabinet in the garage. I wasn't using them. But I will tell you, my power in the morning, and I didn't do it yet today, but I'm feeling pretty powerful here with you because this is a good conversation. I think, I know, I hope. Mine is a smoothie. I'll call it a smoothie. I have an individual blender with a pulse button. It doesn't have an on off. It's a Hamilton Beach and it takes about 16 ounces and it's a plastic cup and it screws into the base. You just twist it so it locks in and you plug it in, you pulse it. And I put in 1 banana, small to medium, not too speckled, not too green, not mushy gushy, not too hard. It has to be of a certain ripe. So I buy 9 bananas a week. So when I'm not talking to Mark in the seafood department, I'm up in the produce department picking 9 bananas. It's a long process. So if you ever come to my community here in Tennessee and you see a redhead in the produce department looking at the front and the back of the banana, they have a banana display. They have one side and the other side, the organics and the overripe and the not ripe. I'm the one who keeps circling the wagons and looking for bananas. Anyway, banana, 8 ounces. I'm scaling back to 6 ounces of 1% milk. Sometimes I cheat and put a little bit of Breyer's old-fashioned vanilla ice cream in. Some raw agave syrup instead of sugar. I can't do any artificial sweeteners, nothing like that. They leave a taste for 24 hours. It's really annoying. So agave, just a squirt from a wonderful bottle, just a little squeeze bottle, and sometimes frozen strawberry sliced, unsweetened, to give it a little more power there. And once in a while, I'll put in a little bit of cinnamon or ginger. And once in a while, I'll put in some dry cocoa powder, not sweetened. And then I blend it. And I've turned it into, Matt, this is interesting. About a month ago, I decided to turn it into a gratitude experience. So I'll pulse a little bit and I'll talk about my daughter's family and I'll name them all and say blessings to them and I love them and gratitude. Then I'll talk about my son's family and gratitude and blessings and I name them all. And then I'll talk about let's have some blessings for the people I know who need help. I have some friends whose spouses are not doing well health-wise, emotionally, and I do a shout out to them. And I'll just say, and all the people I know who need help. And then I say, and thank you for my blessings of being me. And then I'll name me with all my names and I spell them out. I have a new nickname I'm not going to share here with all the initials of all the names I've used. And it's pretty funny. I'll tell you later. And then I finish pulsing and then I take the plug out of the wall. I don't leave any appliances plugged in. I've stopped doing that years ago. I don't want any accidentos and plug it out. And then I'll take the container and twist it, take it off, take the top off, rinse the top off in the sink and then I'll put in a reusable straw that I used that wonderful long, what do you call it? The twisty thing that you put inside of it, pipe cleaner, the pipe cleaner that comes with the straws. I clean it the night before, I rinse it out, and I come in here to my office, to my broadcast office, and I sip my milkshake. So what do you think of that?
I think that's pretty fantastic. After my dog walk, drink a very similar smoothie every day.
Yes, tell us
Including
what's
the
in it.
banana and the strawberries and the non-fat yogurt. I don't throw in any cinnamon twist or anything like that, and I'm perhaps not as picky about my bananas, but I do agree that there is a middle ground there where you
Yeah.
don't want a green and you don't want a mushy. A mushy banana is about the worst thing I can imagine. So,
I
uh,
know, I know, I know. I'll pick out a piece of it. If it's too mushy, if something is damaged or a little brown in the middle, I'll cut that part out and throw it out. Oh,
and
that's
I think
very,
it's pretty wonderful that you do your gratitudes like that. And I do
yeah,
not do that. But you know what? This might be a good time for gratitudes because I
yeah.
just discovered that our single Facebook listener is BJ Magnani. Gratitude out to BJ.
Well, BJ's a wonderful, wonderful lady, very, very smart. Dr. Lily Robinson is her character, and
Yeah.
BJ is the queen of poison. She is a medical doctor with a great resume, shall we say, a great CV, and she writes about the government hiring somebody who knows poisons to be a paid assassin for the government, and she's a very successful author. She's one of my favorite authors too, one of my favorite people. So BJ, mwah, we're sending a shout out to you. Matt, come on, let's do this. Mwah, mwah to BJ Magnani. There we go. Good, good, good. We'll have to tell her she was on the show, even though she wasn't here. And now let's go to another topic here. Okay, something you once had, you either made or bought or found that you don't have anymore because you sold it, you broke it, you lost it, you gave it away, you simply can't find it. That means something to you and you wish you still had it. Matt?
I have a family heritage in Texas that goes back to owning 5 different cattle ranches in my family. And one of the last still in the family, I went to visit when I was 12 years old. And they took me, my family down there, took me to buy a cowboy hat. And I got this really beautiful cowboy hat with the feathers all around, and it was
Yeah.
authentic. And it wasn't cheap. It was a very nice gift from them, and somewhere between there and college, I lost that cowboy hat. I don't know quite
Oh,
what happened to it. And I
no.
often have reason to wear it because I still go to Texas once every year or every 2 years, and it would be nice to have. Recently, I was just at a crime conference in Dedham, Massachusetts called Crime Bake. I was actually there with BJ Magnani,
Yes.
and there was a banquet that had a cowboy theme. And I do have another cowboy hat now, but I would have liked that original from when I
One.
was 12 years old, and uh,
Oh,
so
here
so
we
that's
go.
unfortunate.
There we go. I've tried to have a sound effect for everything. Okay, my goodness, great. Well, I've got a silly one. I've done on this show. I like that topic, so I do it often, but I have a silly one. I was collecting little safety pins. You never have enough safety pins and push pins and things for holding a strap together or holding two pieces of something together, fabric or even paper or whatever you need to repair without sewing or gluing. And I had them in a little tiny one of those little zipper case that couldn't be more than about 3 inches long by 3 inches deep with a little zipper. It was something that a bank was giving away years ago. You know, you get all these little tchotchkes. You go to, oh, have one of these, and or have this ruler with our name on it. Or I hate it when they give away chocolate with their name on it. It's like you eat the chocolate, you throw the wrapper away. Well, we know where it came from, but we don't care. So I never understood those giveaways because I worked for corporations where we went to trade shows and we gave away chocolate in a wrapper with our, well, why? Why? What's left? It just goes in the gar. Anyway, the point was I put in a whole collection. I've been here in this house 3 years in Tennessee, and I had little odds and ends, safety pins, and just different kinds of repair pins. And I put them in, and I went looking for it recently. I have turned three drawers upside down and I can't find the damn thing. So I'm looking for a safety pin, a little tiny one, the little gold ones or the big ones, and I'm ending up using paper clips and bull clips to hold things together. Don't ask, please. But it's so silly. But I don't know what I did with it. I lost it, and I had collected them in this little zipper case and put it in the top drawer in my bedroom where I always go. And I've looked down; it's 100 things in that drawer. It's like a utility drawer. Anyway, one of these days I'll find it. So there you go. Okay.
Hopefully nobody came in and stole it, with Alexa, blaring out, was it Donna Summer's music, in case while you
Megan
were out.
Trainer, Megan Trainer,
Megan Trainor.
absolutely. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, let's see now. I think we have another topic we want to cover here, but I need to get something going here. So just bear with me here. Oh my goodness gracious. I can't Here we go. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Hello. Hello. Listen, I'm here. I'm live with Matt C. He's such an interesting person. What a dude. What a cool dude. I know, video store owner, and he's writing 3 books a year, and he's got a family, and he's got great coffee, and he lost a cowboy. I mean, does it get more interesting than that? I know. Okay, listen. Who you got there today? You're always interrupting me when I'm on the show, but I appreciate it. Okay, Martin Scorsese is there. Okay, Ron Howard. Yep, Mel Brook. No, he can't be there. Christopher Nolan, Guy Ritchie, Francis Ford Coppola, Michael Bay. All right, what do you want? Yeah, yeah, Matt's a really interesting guy. Okay, you want him to pick one of you or a director that he prefers, whom he prefers, excuse me. Shonda Rhimes is there too. Seth MacFarlane? Seriously? Boy, we got a lot of genres here. You want Matt to decide. You want to make a movie or a TV show, not his biopic, not about him, but with a lead character based on Matt's travels, Matt's experiences, Matt's preferences. So it's a writer, a traveler, a family guy, an entrepreneur, business owner, a store owner. Okay. And you want him to decide, is it action, drama, fantasy, musical, romance, comedy, sci-fi, thriller, horror, time travel, or anything? Okay. And you want him to pick a director. It could be any of you. Okay, wait a minute. Who just came in? Chuck Lorre just came in? Aaron Sorkin, is it? Well, we're certainly widening the net here on the genres here. Okay, and you want to decide the title of either the movie or the TV show. Is it a one-off TV show? Is it a series? Is it a special limited edition, 6 or 8, and that's it, one-off? Does it have a 5-year arc? This is getting very complicated. I don't think Matt had enough coffee for this, but we'll keep it simple. And you want him to pick the actor who would play the lead that's based on him, but it doesn't have to, they don't have to look like him because it's not Matt. Okay. All right. Can we call you back? This is going to take a little while. All right. I appreciate your calling in. I'm very honored that all of you literati and glitterati in the movie and TV business know about my show. This is really, really cool beans. Okay, we'll let you know what he picks. So it's either TV or a film. It's the genre, the title, and the actor or actress. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye. All right, they're gone. I don't know, Matt. They
Wow,
just
that's quite a party somebody's having with that collection of people. That's amazing.
It is. They have this coffee clutch. It's mostly in LA, but they have people who go in by Zoom sometimes. People. Chandra Rhimes is really very busy. Sometimes she Zooms in, and Guy Ritchie, well, who knows where in the world he's going to be making movies. So, yeah, so they want to know. So you know the drill here. So, what do you prefer? What's the genre, the title, the character, and more? Talk to me.
You know, I recently wrote a book that I'm peddling around called Bob Chicago Investigates. And it's about a former school teacher who is now a struggling writer that is in need of money. And when a employment agency crosses wires and reaches out to him with an employment a private investigator case because he writes PI mysteries, they think he's actually a PI. He
Okay.
takes the case to make some extra money.
Okay.
And these are all things that are absolutely true in my life. I'm a former school teacher, struggling writer, and I did have an employment agency from the UK that periodically sends me emails offering me cases in Maine or sometimes on Zoom that they want to hire me. And I've ignored them so
What?
far,
This
but
is
I
you,
have
the real Matt Cost. They
yeah. So but I like reading what they're offering and so I haven't told them that I'm not really a PI. But so this is the origin story, if you will, of my Bob Chicago Investigates
I
is
love it.
really just me.
I love it.
So I could see that being made into a mini series.
Yes.
Um, Guy,
Wow.
Guy Ritchie wouldn't be bad. He was there, but if David Fincher was there, I would like him.
We can get him.
He did Seven, he did Gone Girl, and he's currently making a miniseries prequel to Chinatown. So I think he would be perfect director to make the mystery. Call it Bob Chicago Investigates, or if you want to call it Matt Cost Investigates, you could do that. And
It would
Vince
be
Vaughn,
Bob Chicago. It would be Bob Chicago. So
yeah.
who would play this? As many I've done 50 cool dude shows. You're number 51. I think I told you that. Nobody has ever, and I've had several authors on. Nobody has ever spun one of their book concepts to be the answer to the famous director's question or invitation. This is fascinating. So it's Bob. Who plays Bob Chicago?
Well, it just tied in so well with what I'd just done, Bonnie, that I kind of had to jump into there and share that. But
Yeah.
I Vince Vaughn. I'm going to go with Vince
Oh,
Vaughn. He would be a perfect Bob Chicago.
wow. This is great. You're really going above and beyond with this. Everybody is just, oh, I think I would be, and it would be about, but nobody's ever said it could be part of the book I'm writing, the story I'm writing, the fantasy I'm creating. Very, very, very interesting. So, what genre would it be? Would it be detective mystery? Would it be drama? Would it be dramedy? Would there be some humor in it? And now come on, there's got to be some other characters in that lead characters who would be in every episode. Is there I hate the word secretary, sidekick? Is there a sidekick? Is there a sidekick? Is there a looming bad person, a bad guy, bad girl who is repeated character throughout? Just give me a little more. I need some more characters, please.
Following along the line of the story, which is the direction that my life might take, but hasn't yet taken, is Bob Chicago is hired by a young social media influencer, Mandisa, to
Ooh,
find a stolen family heirloom of
ooh,
hers,
ooh, ooh,
which
ooh.
turns out to be a priceless katana or sword from Japan. And so one of the main sidekicks becomes a young lady, or not a young lady, a middle-aged woman named Junko, who is Japanese by birth and is, an expert on Japanese artifacts and art. and she becomes perhaps the love interest.
Who would
And
play
then
her? We need an actress. Who would play her?
Angelina Jolie, maybe.
I was
Trying to
thinking
think
maybe
of a,
Scarlett Johansson or Emma Stone, or I don't
yeah,
know.
if we
No?
didn't have to stay Japanese, I'm trying to think of a Japanese actress off the top of my head, and I can't really
Well,
come
with
up with
makeup, it could be mixed race. It could be.
it. So,
Uh,
they
Angelina
change these
Jolie.
things for series and for
Angelina would certainly spice up the action, wouldn't she? Yeah.
possibly, yeah.
Very, very interesting. And what would the first episode be? That would be at the social media and the Catan. That'd be it.
Yeah, it would be Bob Chicago trying to figure out his life, faced with his, mounting debts and being given an opportunity to make some money being a private investigator.
Bob Chicago goes sword fishing. Ah, okay. I like it. So David Fincher, and yes, very, very interesting. And we'll have to get in touch with Vince Vaughn and see if he's ready. And yeah, and I want to be on the set when you're filming this. It'd be really cool. So would this be a 5 episode arc, or would it be? I'm assuming it's going to go on for years and years and years, but limited series, would it be just 6? How many plots do you think you have in you for
I've
this?
always thought that my books break because of the style of that I plan on writing would break nicely into 8 episodes each book.
There you go.
And I hope that this book turns into 2, 3, 4 and continues on down the road.
That's
So,
lovely.
I would think an 8 episode season for each book, and,
Lovely.
maybe it can be 10 years long. We'll see.
I love it. You got to come back and tell us how it's going when after David Fincher. Well, let's see what David wants to do with it. Directors sometimes wield their creativity wand and they turn things into something else. And you, as the creative resource and source, you have to put into the contract on the screenplay that, you get the final refusal, right? You got to,
Yeah. Well, if I have that much clout.
well,
But if
well,
I don't have that much clout, I might not get the final refusal.
I'll put in a good word for you, Matt.
Yeah, you seem to have them on speed dial. So,
Too. No, they've got me on speed dial. That's the problem. Okay, well, mine would be a sitcom, and it would feature a redhead. Even though it's not my biopic, it would be either Reba McEntire. I'm a big fan of her new comedy show, Happy's Place, which just started its season 2 or 3, and it's cute and she's adorable. And her real life boyfriend, the actor Rex Lynn, is the cook in the bar restaurant that she inherited from her dad, Happy, and they've just had their first and second kisses, and he's pretending that he's not interested, but they're obviously, but in real life they've been together for years, which is an interesting reality check on actors and actresses. Anyway, mine would be some kind of a sitcom where Reba McEntire would sing, and she would be the comedy lead in it. And it could be called, I don't know, Red's Classroom or something, because I used to teach eBay skills. I used to teach eBay buying and selling, and there are a lot of backstories of what people want to sell and what they want to buy and who they are. I had professionals coming to my class. It was a 7 to 10 p.m. one time, and it was always booked in a 6 PC computer lab at an adult ed place on Long Island. And I'd have doctors and lawyers and household engineers that used to be called housewives, and they would want to be curious about getting rid of stuff in their houses or in their practices. And I had to keep them awake because 7 to 10 p.m. was a late class for them, and they'd all been working or doing something all day. So I made up little stories to involve all of them. Matt, you've got this Louis Vuitton briefcase that you want to sell, and Susan in the front row, well, her boyfriend always wanted to have one of those because he just got a new, no, it's her son. He just got a new job and he wants to impress people, and if they even know what Louis Vuitton is. And then there's Mary in the front row who, she wants one for herself because she's starting a new independent entrepreneurial thing and she wants to look really special when she goes into her clients. But then there's somebody in the back. So I would name everybody in the room and give them a role in these scenarios, Matt. And then we would go through the exercise of how would we describe the item, how would we sell it, what category we'd put it in. Nobody ever fell asleep in my classes. So I would turn that into a sitcom with a little bit of music, and Reba would be the teacher, and we would have some other interesting, fun characters in the roles of the students every week. So I would see it as like yours, I would see it as an 8 episode arc for the first season. What do you think? Would people watch
and
it?
yeah, absolutely. And I'm guessing that, over the course of time, There were a lot of very humorous incidents that occurred in this course that could be, taken and then embellished, and
Oh
others
yeah,
could be added to it. So it sounds
absolutely.
like a lot of humor possibilities in
I
there.
think there's a couple of short stories in there too. Now I'm getting motivated to write. When I finish my novel, yes, one of these years I will. Yes, and was it Dale? You know Dale.
Phillips.
Dale Phillips, I think he offered to interview me about my novel in January on one of his podcasts, but I have to finish it first, so that's the problem. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Okay, so we are ready now for the last part, and thank you for playing along with OTT off the top. The last part of the show is called now. In order to do this, Matt, it's very important that you say it correctly. So I'm going to say the title of the segment, and I need you to do it exactly the way I do it. Say what? Okay.
Say what?
Oh, the say was very high. Do it one more time. I like that.
Say what?
Okay, you've raised the bar, my dear, to a new level. Say what? I do the high, very, very. Okay, so I'm going to stop. Do you have anything you want to share visually, or are you just going to talk about your stories?
I'm just going to talk about my stories, so I don't have anything visual.
Okay, so I'm going to show mine, but I'd like you to do your three first. So I'm putting you on speaker view, and why don't you take us through what are your three say what stories? Go ahead, amuse us, inform us, educate us, inspire, all that good stuff. Go ahead.
Well, we've got to start off with Dude, because that is the name of the program that we are on here is Cool Dudes and Saucy Dames, or vice versa. So where did Dude come from? We got to go all the way back to the 1880s in New York City, where there was, think modern day hipsters, this group of men who were maybe Anglophiles, a little bit like that. They were fancy dressers and liked to look good and almost a little pretty and, flashy. And so they started being called dudes because of Yankee Doodle Dandy.
No.
It was likened to the character from that famous song going back to the 18th century to
I'm a Yankee
pre-revolution.
Doodle
Yeah.
Dandy. I didn't know
So,
this.
so that's
Shame
where
on me.
dude comes from, is doodle.
I didn't know
Yankee
that.
Doodle Dandy.
I
And
didn't know that.
and then it changes, later in the 19th century, dude ranches
Yep.
west. People would get all dressed up, and cowboys just wear worn out t-shirts and flannel shirts and beaten cowboy hats. But the people from out east would want to go hang out, so they'd get all snazzy shirts and have silver and buckles and
Yep.
look
Belts.
all pretty. And so
Yep.
they called them dude
Dude
ranches.
Ranches. Right, 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 right. And they made some comedy movies about that. Wasn't Three Amigos about a dude ranch? Or there was something. Billy Crystal did something about a
Oh
dude
yeah,
ranch.
Billy Crystal, City Slickers.
City Slickers. Yes, yes,
City
yes, yes, yes.
Slickers did
Very
the dude
interesting.
ranches, and that's what
Yeah.
they went to do, a real cattle drive, and they got all
Yeah.
dressed up just like dudes. So, a lot of people think that it originated, with California surfers in the 80s and
Mm-mm.
1980s, but really it was
Mm-mm.
100 years before. And it was really put on the map by one of my favorite people, one of my favorite movies,
Yes,
The Big Lebowski.
yes.
The Dude Abides.
Yep, yep. Oh, fast. Thank you very much for that. I should have known that, but I'm glad I didn't because you get to bring it to the show. That's really cool. Okay, what's your next say? What?
Say, what? Uh, an interesting story that has always stuck with me is about molasses, because it's
What? Say what?
say what? in in 1919, so
Yeah.
a little over 100 years ago, there was the Great Boston Molasses Flood.
What?
So
You just keep
January
you're killing it here, Matt. Say what? Go ahead.
January 15th, about 1 p.m. in the north end of Boston. It's a busy streets, trains, cars, automobiles, people, and there's this kind of roaring noise, and somebody thinks it's the elevated train coming in, but then it turns out it's not. This huge tank of molasses, it's 50 feet high, much more large in circumference than that, that was built faultily, overfilled, ran into some cold weather, ruptures, and the molasses comes spilling out. It's going 35 miles an hour, this molasses, across the streets of Boston's North End. Uh, Destruction, knocking over trains, moving entire buildings, off their foundations. And there's a sad component into it is the with this 2.3 million gallons of molasses running through the streets, 21 people were killed and 150
Yeah.
were injured by molasses.
I'm looking for a picture of it. All I have is the Encore Boston Molasses Disaster, a deadly deluge. Okay, go ahead. I'll see, keep looking for pictures. Go ahead. Keep
Yeah, I
talking.
don't, molasses is thought to move sort of slowly, but it was going 35 miles an hour and people didn't really have cameras. So I don't think that anybody grabbed a picture of that as one of the reasons
Yeah,
why I don't.
there's a memorial plaque to it, but I can't seem to get unless I subscribe to the Boston Herald. I can't.
I think there might have been some pictures of the destruction that happened afterwards.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting, interesting.
it turned out that
Here it
it's
is. We got
very,
pictures. We got
there you
pictures.
go, the destruction.
Wow. Okay. Here, more pictures.
It turns out that it's very hard to clean molasses up because it's so sticky.
No
If you've
kidding.
got a little syrup on your counter at home or something, you might have noticed that. And
Here's
they
in
had
color.
colorized. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Go. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought these were fascinating. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
They had to use seawater because that broke down the molasses to clean up the mess, through fire hoses. And the salt
Wow.
water was how they finally resolved the dilemma of the great molasses flood of 1990.
1919. You certainly know how to do the say what? You got one more?
Yeah, yeah. Dagen H,
Who?
which is in Swedish H Day. We're going back to September of 1967. And H Day stands for Hogan traffic or traffic to the right. It's the day that Sweden switched from driving on the left side of the road to the right side of the road. Maybe you
No.
would think, not that big a deal, easy enough to do, but really, it took quite a bit. It was 4 years of planning, 40 years of arguments. I think something like 400 pounds of money spent. And so at 4:50 in the morning on
No.
September 3rd, everybody on the roads stopped. And then once everybody was fully stopped, about 5 o'clock, they all switched sides. And life continued on. Now they drove on the right and not the left anymore.
Wow. I got to tell you, those were three of the most say what stories of anybody ever done on this say what segment of my show. Where did you find these?
You
Where,
know, I spend too much time on the computer. I'm a history guy, and
welcome to my
I
world.
and I'm a creative writer who's always looking for new ideas. So, you know,
There
maybe
is a
some of these ideas can be incorporated into
Oh
books at
yeah.
some point.
There is a site called Wacky. There are stories when you go to Wacky Stories. There are sites that come up on certain history channels, and I use Nice News and others. I have three for you, and I'm going to actually share the visual. So let's see if I can get this to go here. I'm going to actually go to share, and I'm going to go to screen, and I'm going to go to just this much of my screen so you don't see the rest. And can you see this? Yes?
Yep.
Okay, this one I thought you would get a kick out of. It's up on the screen. The best Shakespearean insults. And I thought you'd get a kick. Uh, the works of William Shakespeare, provide the first recorded use of 1,700 words in the English language. He was the first to write down some pre-existing words, but he invented others, and he had some expressions that we use today, like in a pickle, with bated breath, and wild goose chase. So I'm just going to list a couple of these. They're highlighted. So I will speak daggers to her, but use none. These are his insults. Okay. So he's insulting. And this was Hamlet prepares to face his mother. And he says, I will speak daggers to her, but use none. So no violence in the home. Thank you very much. And here are some of his others. This is the precursor to the yo mama joke we all know about. You starveling, you elf skin, you dried neat's tongue, you bull's pizzle, you stockfish. That's apparently a precursor to yo mama. And then we have this is very, very yeah, and those very, very interesting. Oh, that was from Falstaff in Henry the Fourth, Part One. Okay, talking to Prince Hal, the future Henry Fifth. Here's another one. Away, you 3-inch fool. And you can imagine what the 3-inch was talking about. This was Taming of the Shrew. He's attacking Grumio's physical stature while also insulting his intelligence. So we'll leave that one to imagination. I hope you can't read the text. Next one is methinks thou art a general offense, and every man should beat thee. This is from Act Two of All's Well That Ends Well, where the nobleman Lafeu confronts the tricky, deceitful Parolles by declaring him so universally disliked that he deserves to be beaten by everyone. And we should add no daggers, please. This is the Yo Mama. Villain, I have done thy mother. This is yes, this is I thought Yo Mama was up above there. It's one of his most direct and brutal insults, spoken by the villain Aaron in Titus Andronicus, often considered Shakespeare's most violent work, and it is vulgar, period. End of story. Let's move on to from Falstaff in Henry the Fourth, Part Two. This is away, you scullion, you rampallion, you fustelarian. I'll tickle your catastrophe. Oh, please. Yes. Alliteration of fustilugs, which is a ponderous, a clumsy person. And I'll tickle your catastrophe means I'll smack you on your tush. Okay. Then we have, I do desire we may be better strangers, meaning I don't want to know you and don't come back. And then we have, you Banbury cheese, Merry Wives of Windsor. The character Slender refers to his lack of wit and his small stature. A little wee face with a little yellow beard. In Act One, Scene One, Bardolph compares him to Banbury cheese, which was thin with little cheese underneath the rind. There we go. And then we have thou cream-faced loon. Macbeth makes this jab, meaning you pasty-faced idiot. Pasty-faced idiot. It rolls off the tongue. Can you say that, Matt? Thou cream-faced loon.
Thou cream-faced loon.
I don't think it rolls off the tongue. What do you think?
I often, for books, have to look up the origin of insults and things like that to make sure that, like right now, I'm writing 1950s Raleigh, North Carolina, and I've got to make sure that it exists then. And Shakespeare has some of the greatest, insults that go back hundreds of years. So
there you go. There you go. I can send you this, but yeah, I can send you this list if you want. And the last one is thou damned and luxurious mountain goat. When Pistol launches this at a French soldier in Henry V, luxurious doesn't mean sumptuous like it does today. It means self-indulgent, louche, and hedonistic. Shakespeare likely used mountain goat due to the animal's randy behavior, an insult that would mean today something like you damn lecherous goat. So those are the favorite insults from Shakespeare. Now, also on the literary side, I thought you would enjoy this very briefly. Benjamin Franklin tried to create a new alphabet.
What?
Say, well, there you go. See, I picked these just for you. This was 1768, and he had the reformed mode of spelling. He had a phonetic alphabet as a natural order, sounds formed by the breath, with none or very little help of tongue, teeth, and lips, and produced chiefly in the windpipe. He removed 6 consonants. He said, we don't need these, C, J, Q, W, X, and Y. And he replaced them by adding 2 new vowels and 4 consonants. Each letter could be pronounced only one way. So he took out C because there was a soft and a hard C, right? Like cacophony and like juice, where the C is soft. So long vowels were used twice in a row, so you wouldn't misspell. So he tested his alphabet in a letter to his landlord's daughter, Polly Stevenson, that ends this way. upside down. This must be a new consonant. I am my dear friend, and dear is Diir because the two I's together are a long E. Yours affectionately, B. Franklin. His alphabet never caught on. Anyway, I thought that was very, very interesting. And we also don't know, but there's a factoid. Say what? There are 74 letters in the Khmer Cambodian alphabet, the largest in the world. So Franklin was able to create a new 26-letter alphabet, but he got rid of, as I said, the C, the J, the Q, the W, the X, and the Y. Would you ever use something like this, Matt?
I think that the English language has a lot of issues with it, and creating a new alphabet might be much like changing from driving on the left to driving on the
On the
right.
right.
It,
You'd
it
have
might
to do
take a little bit to learn, but
you'd
it
have to
wouldn't
do
be
it
a
at
bad idea.
4 o'clock in the morning. You'd have to do it at 4 o'clock in the morning. And this just for kicks, I found an article on a vintage car graveyard in Western Germany, and the editors of AP decided which pictures. So I picked just a few of them. Martin Froelich celebrated his 50th birthday in 2000, so he is now 75. He bought 50 vintage cars manufactured the year he was born, okay? 1950. He took out the oil, the pollutants, he parked them in a private forest near his home and created a classic car graveyard. Jag XK120, a Rolls Silver Ghost, a Porsche 356. He must have had a lot of spending money in his back pocket there. Would be worth millions if they were restored. So man and machine continue together. So here up above, here's one example of a vintage Cadillac. I think we recognize. Look at the pink and the blue. Pretty, pretty cool. I painted a bicycle once that color when I was 12. Okay, and here is a larger view, a broader view of his vintage car forest. Interesting. He's just got them all out there just for the taking here. This is a painting that was made on the side. I don't even know, but I see legs here. We'll leave that one alone. This is an Australian Holden vintage car. This is a Rolls Royce with that had dolls of Queen Elizabeth II and Charles, now the king, sitting in the back seat. That looks very, very creepy to me. And then we have one more page here. We have the vintage Ford car. Looks like it could even be a truck. And then we have the collector, Michael Froelich, in his vintage Jag XK120. He looks like a happy dude. And then we have a Porsche 356 vintage car. And that's all she wrote there. What do you think? Cool beans?
Very cool. It makes me think of Cuba, where they're kind of stuck back in the 1950s with all the American muscle cars that they still have and
Mm-hmm.
use. But one of the interesting things about them, which looks like it might be similar to these cars, is eventually the engines do die, and they had to replace them with little four-cylinder Russian engines. So
Ooh.
these muscle cars that look so cool from the 1950s, like we were just seeing in the graveyard there, are driving around, but every time they accelerate, they sound like a lawnmower
Oh my goodness
instead of
gracious.
the deep rumble that they're supposed to have.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, so much for that. Listen, I loved your say what stories, and I hope you liked mine. I picked them especially for you because I thought you would enjoy them, and it sounds like you did. So one topic is left, Matt C. Cool dude, number 51. And the topic is if a young person came to you today and said, I saw you, Matt C, on Bonnie D's Cool Dude show, and I want to grow up to be a cool dude like you. What advice or insights would you share with that person? I'm not naming anything about them other than a person. What would you share so that they could either emulate what you do or they could aspire to be the type of multi-versatility person, versatile you are, Matt? There were a lot of compliments in there. I hope you got them. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's kind of overwhelming on the
Oh,
amount of
don't be
compliments,
overwhelmed.
but
We're just,
I'll,
just
I'll try and break it down a little bit.
that was another say what? That's what you wanted to say. I should call this the say what show. Okay, go ahead. So what?
One thing I think that people really should do, that because I'm a history guy and I write historicals in the 1920s and 1950s, is learn from our past. Because, we have the same issues now as we did in the 1920s and the 1950s. And it would be nice to learn from our past. But, if you want to do something, you just do it. I get a lot of people coming up and asking me, How do you write a book? Well, you sit down and write.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to write a book, but I don't know how to start. Well, you sit down and write.
Right. Absolutely. Very interesting. And what about you mentioned before that these characters and these plots you're working on come to you day and night. They wake you up in the middle of the night. So what would that character say to that one? Or what should be next in the action sequence? Uh, what about, is there any advice to a cool person, a cool dude in this case, about letting those voices talk to them and then writing them down or remembering them or recording them to remember them later? What do you think? How would you advise them? This is a little of a process question. What would you say?
I might advise them not to. Don't open the door. Once you let them in, you can't get them out. then,
Pandora.
then they're stuck inside your head. But if you keep them locked out, then you don't have any fears. So maybe, you got to choose if you really want to sell your soul to be a writer and have all those voices bouncing around in there nonstop 24/7,
There you
or if
go.
maybe you just like to, continue working at the grocery stores.
Wherever you are. Say what? My advice to young people, if they want to be cool or saucy, whatever their desires are, or where they think they want to go in life, is to. This was a line also in a Leonard Cohen song or a poem. If you see a crack in the window, open it up and see what's on the other side. And I say, if you see the door open just a tiny bit, kick the damn door open, squeeze that window way up in the frame, and see what's on the other side. I don't know about you, Matt, but I know I'm on at least my 11th career, and I think you're on your between 10th and 15th. And we didn't say shut the window or keep the door locked. We said what's on the other side. And you've had so many careers and professions and entrepreneurial pursuits, if I can say it that way. And I've just had so many different careers in and out of corporate and independent and graphic designer and reporter and stand-up comedian and TV host and writer and doing all kinds of things, TV director and just doing everything I could think of. And if I had said no to any of those, I wouldn't probably be here, probably wouldn't be here today talking to you from this perspective. And you talk about history. Well, look at the history of the people who were cool and saucy. They didn't say no. They said, let's see what's next. Let's see what
What is that Jim Carrey movie where he has to say yes to everything that comes
was
his
that
way?
Liar Liar? Was that Liar
Yeah,
Liar?
maybe is that Liar Liar? Yeah,
Might be. I
maybe.
don't know. He
He has
needs,
to say yes to everything, and his world just opens wide open. He
yep,
becomes a dancer and
yep.
plays Japanese instruments and an artist, and because he has to say yes. So that's
And
exactly how you've lived your life.
in real life, we don't have to say yes to everything, but we could say maybe, or I'll think about it, or I hate this. Remember what Yoda said: do or do not. There is no try. Don't say, I'll try that. I'll think. Well, not too much thinking about. Listen, I woke up one day and I said, I want a show called We Dish Two Saucy Dames. And I started that. And then one day I woke up. I'm happy to keep waking up, actually. And I said to myself, but I really enjoy talking to men. Why don't I start a spinoff? So I talked to a gentleman who's been on my technology show many times. And I did a Zoom call with him. His name is Martin. And I said, Martin, what should I call the male side of the show? Would I call them guys or men, or how about dudes? And he said, I like that. And that was October 2024. He was my first, and you're my 51st. So open that door and talk to people and share your ideas. Of course, NDA if you need to, and copyright and trademark if you need to, but let the ideas flow and see where life is going to take you, because it's just out there, right? And you can have a say what kind of life where you go to Thanksgiving dinner this year and next year and you say, guess what I just did this year? And people say what? Matt, it has been just delicious talking to you. I'm going to put the outro music on. Let's just make sure the engineer has the orchestra, and let's just take some pictures when we're done. So thank you so
As
much.
Jeff Bridges says, the dude abides.
There you
So you
go.
wanna be
Let's dance.
a
A cool kid
hanging with the
hanging with the insect or the insole or something. Cool and fine. Casting your net.
So you wanna
Where you want to be. Pop, 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 pop. And thank you to our Our
pretty
engineer.
girl.
Oh, that's me. Okay. And thank you to
Talking
Serge
about-
Hoffman for singing my song and making the music and making my lyrics.